This isn't like the old Great Wall utes, and it's not even like the old Great Wall Steed, because this is much, much better than that. It's the new GWM ute, which is also known as the Great Wall Cannon. And it's still very affordable, but now it's good enough to go against the best players in the dual cab ute market. Talk about bang for your buck. Get it? Bang for your buck, Great Wall Cannon. Anyway, in this review, I'll tell you everything you need to know, but if there's something specific that you want to find out about, you can skip ahead. The time codes are on your screen now. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you'll find the chapter markers in the timeline below, and that'll help you make your own way through this review. And don't forget, you can find the full detailed written review in the description below, which will tell you everything you need to know about the GWM ute. The Great Wall ute range has traditionally been all about affordability. You could get them for as little as 20 grand drive away. That's not the case anymore though. The new Great Wall Cannon range has stepped up considerably in terms of price, but it's still comparatively very inexpensive. Pricing for the new GWM ute range starts at $33,990 drive away, and that's for the entry-level model, which is known as the Cannon. Some of the spec highlights include 18-inch alloy wheels, body-coloured bumpers, LED headlights with DRLs, keyless entry, push-button start, fake leather seats, and all Cannon models, including the base model, have a 9-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The next grade up the range is the Cannon L, adding 4 grand to the price but adding equipment for your extra coin too. It has different 18-inch alloy wheels, a spray-in tub liner, a sports bar, and a cargo ladder at the back. It gets heated front seats, power driver's seat adjustment, a leather steering wheel, and climate control air conditioning. At the top of the lineup is the Cannon X, tipping over the $40,000 mark. It adds plush leather seats with power adjustment for both the driver and front passenger, quilted leather on the doors, reach adjustment for the steering wheel, wireless phone charging, voice recognition, and a 7-inch screen in the driver's binnacle. The rear seats split 60-40, there's a fold-down armrest, and there are steering modes in this top model as well. And also you'll see the center console has a different design. Have you hit subscribe on our YouTube channel yet? We'd love to have you along for the ride, and also make sure you hit that bell icon so you can stay up to date with all of our latest videos. In the past, buying a Chinese ute has always come with a caveat of safety specs, and that's not the case with the new GWM ute, which offers some benchmark levels of safety technology. All Great Wall Cannon models come with auto emergency braking, which includes pedestrian and cyclist detection. Adaptive cruise control is fitted to all grades as well. There's lane departure warning, lane keeping assist on all grades too, not to mention blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and traffic sign recognition. The Cannon base model comes with a reversing camera, a curbside front camera, and rear parking sensors, while the Cannon L and Cannon X have surround view camera systems with added front parking sensors. The GWM ute comes with 7 airbags as standard, including a front center airbag to stop head collisions in the event of a side impact crash. There's also dual front side, and full-length curtain airbag coverage. This is a big vehicle, and it has that truck-like stance thanks in part to its huge high grille. Here are some of the other design highlights. You have to love that all GWM utes come with LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, and LED tail lights, and the front lighting's automatic too. It is large, this new ute. It measures 5,410mm long on a 32-30mm wheelbase. It also spans almost 2 meters wide, and it's tall too. This is about the same size as a Ford Ranger, if you're wondering. We aren't going off-road today, but you can see the important angles on your screen now. If you are interested to see how it goes off-road, stay tuned. We'll be sure to show you in one of our adventure reviews. And if you need your fix for off-highway driving, make sure you hit that pop-out at the top of your screen so you can see more of our adventure reviews. Next up, we'll take a look at Practicality. It's a ute, so you'd expect it to offer some pretty usable space in the tray, and it does. The new GWM Ute's tray is 1520mm long, 1520mm wide, and 1120mm between the arches, meaning it's too narrow to fit an 1165 square Aussie standard pallet in the back. But the depth is 540mm and there's still plenty of storage space here, and there are 4 tie-down hooks fitted as well. In the Canon L and Canon X models, there's a spray-in tub liner, sports bar, and you get a handy stowable step to help you climb in and out of the tub. Payload is pegged at more than a tonne, 1,050 kilos for every model, and it weighs 2,100 kilos with an unbraked towing capacity of 750 kilos and a brake towing capacity of 3,000 kilos, so a little bit short of the 3.5 tonne benchmark in the ute segment. The back seat is big on practicality, with all models scoring rear seat directional air vents, bottle holders in the doors, a 220 volt power outlet, and a USB port in the back. Space in the back of the GWM Ute is very accommodating. I'm 182 centimetres or 6 foot. This seat is set for me, and look how much room I've got. Lots of knee room, lots of toe room, plenty of headroom, and plenty of width to the cabin as well. You could easily fit 3 adults across the back here without too much fuss whatsoever. And if you do have smaller occupants that you take with you on a regular basis, there are ISOFIX points on either of the outboard seats, plus 2 top tether attachment points as well. Up front in the GWM Ute, and it is a pretty nice place to be, I have to say. It does have much better fit and finish and material quality than any of the Great Wall products that have come before it, and it is put together really well, and the perceived quality is quite good, although there are still some cheap plastics and some elements that give away that you are buying a budget ute. But in terms of practicality, there are most of the things that you would expect. You've got a pair of cup holders up here, there's a little storage section here for your phone. You can plug into the USBs in front of that. You could also put your phone there if you wanted to, but there's another section in under this armrest too. There are bottle holders in the doors, and you even get a little sunglass holder up here. And in terms of the tech and the usability of the whole setup, it could be better, although I will say that the 9-inch screen is excellent. I haven't had any issues with Apple CarPlay phone mirroring working perfectly fine, which is better than I can say for some big name brands that I've experienced in the past. I will say that the digital driver info screen could be more, well, intuitive to deal with. You do have to sort of hold the OK button on the steering wheel in order to get the menus up, and it just could be a little bit simpler, and hopefully that's something that they can work towards fixing as a model year update. Although it is still fine, you can still access a digital instrument display with digital speedo section, and that depends on whether you're using the lane keeping assist or not. As far as I can tell, you can't have lane keeping assist and a digital speedo at the same time, which I hope they can fix as well. I like the shape of the steering wheel and the fact that it's a 4-prong design. It kind of reminds me of an old Jeep or maybe a Chrysler PT Cruiser or something. And I don't know whether that's what they were intending, but I like it. One thing I've noticed when I've been sitting in traffic with my hand on the gear selector, you can hit the park button accidentally. So just be careful, because you might find yourself in park, revving the engine, getting honked from behind, and nothing's happening. But also I will say that the seat comfort's pretty good. The adjustability is not bad. I just wish that they had reach adjustment on all variants. You only get that on the top spec. You still get tilt adjust, but I wish I could bring the steering wheel just a little bit closer to me. Another little thing that's annoyed me, this moves too easily, so if you just rest your arm there, you might find that this moves around a little bit too easily. The leather quality, well, this is fake leather and it feels it, and the leather steering wheel, again, could be nicer, but you got to remember what price you're paying for this ute, and you get some other good stuff like that media screen, which makes up for it. The engine in the old Great Wall Ute was a bit of a dud, but that's not the case anymore. In the new GWM Ute, there's a 2-litre, yes, that seems small, 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine. It produces 120 kilowatts of power and 400 newton meters of torque. And while those figures do seem low, it performs pretty well. You can skip ahead to the driving section if you want to find out just how well it does. The GWM Ute has an on-demand 4-wheel drive system. You can use Eco if you only need rear-wheel drive, while Standard and Sport are all wheels driven. There's low-range 4-wheel drive as well. It has an 8-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters. So, what's it like to drive? Now, I've spent some time in the Great Wall Steed, which was the predecessor to this model, and I wasn't very impressed with the drive experience. But this is like driving a completely different vehicle from a completely different brand. It's come that far in terms of the drive experience that it's hard to see any link between the old Ute and the new one. The main positive point is the engine, the 2-litre 4-cylinder engine, which might seem a bit undercooked on paper, 120 kilowatts, 400 Newton meters. But I tell you what, it offers really good pulling power across the rev range, especially from down low. When you just put your foot down, it pushes you back in your seat. This is pretty impressive response for a vehicle with a small engine that weighs over 2 tons.
It can't hide its bulk when it comes to standing starts though, as there's some noticeable and frustrating turbo lag to contend with from a standstill. The more I drove it, the more I noticed it.
There's an 8-speed automatic transmission taking care of the gear shifts for you, and you can take matters into your own hands with the paddle shifters if you want. I've done that once or twice, but I found that there is no manual adjust ability to the shifter down here. Instead, you've got to rely on the paddle shifters, and when you're turning corners, because the steering rack is quite a slow action, you might find that it can be a little bit hard to get the right gear at the right time. But the 8-speed automatic does a pretty good job of its own accord. In most situations, it's perfectly fine, and it offers quick and pretty smooth shifts as well. At times, it can be caught out just a touch, and also there is some noticeable vibration from the drivetrain at times. You'll notice the mirror will be shaking because there's that much vibration through the chassis, but honestly, it's pretty impressive for the price you're paying, and I think that's the most common theme when it comes to the drive experience in this vehicle. The ride quality is mostly pretty good. At higher speeds especially, it's quite refined and quite comfortable too. It doesn't necessarily throw too many bumps into the cabin. At lower speeds, it's not quite as impressive. Most dual cab utes suffer that, especially when you don't have any weight in the tray. And speaking of weight, we will be doing a more specific tradie test on this ute at some point in the future. If you want to get your fix for tradie reviews, make sure you hit the pop out at the top of your screen. The steering's okay. I wouldn't say it's the best in the class, but I wouldn't say it's the worst either. It's quite hefty and heavy, although I haven't been a huge fan of the lane keeping assist systems and how they intervene with the steering. That might matter to you, it might not. You might be fine with it pushing you around a little bit when you're steering, but for me, it's not the most natural feeling lane keep assist. But then again, I'd rather have the technology and the lane departure warning, for example, than not have it at all. So that's a pretty minor consideration, really. Yes, it has plenty of those safety technology systems, and blind spot monitoring is a nice one, and so is rear cross traffic alert. But my favorite is the multi-view parking system. So you can keep an eye on the curb, make sure you don't rash those wheels, or if you are parking in a tight spot, or maybe you need overhead guidance, there's a really good 360-degree view as well. The official combined cycle fuel consumption figure, which is what the manufacturer reckons you should get across a mix of driving, is 9.4 litres per 100 kilometres, which we think is pretty realistic for this big dual cab 2-ton plus truck. And if you're wondering what we've seen across a mix of driving, well, here's that figure on your screen now. And that fuel figure was taken at the pump.
Great Wall's Australian arm backs the new Canon Ute with a compelling 7-year warranty that spans unlimited kilometres. That's more than you get from Isuzu, Mazda, Nissan or Ford. Plus there's 5 years of roadside assistance included, which should put some potential customers' minds at ease in terms of reliability. There is no cap price servicing program for the GWM Ute range, which is the only real question mark here.
The all-new generation GWM Ute is a much better Ute than any Great Wall product that's come before it. It's more polished, more practical, and better to drive as well. Tell us what you think in the comments section below. Would you choose a GWM Ute or Great Wall Canon, as it's probably going to be known? We'd love to know what you think. Would you choose it or something different? Tell us in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and hit the bell icon to stay up to date with our latest content. And if you want to know the score, well, it's not going to make as much sense unless you read the full detailed review at the Cars Guide site. You'll find a link in the description or popping out at the top of your screen. Now, you might be wondering about what score the GWM Ute is going to get. Well, here it is.